Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto proves himself capable and then marries Yugito part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Naruto lay on his bed, staring up at the gray ceiling of his dull apartment. It was graduation day. Naruto wondered if he should be excited. Maybe he should, considering that his sensei was a Junin. He could finally learn something, after all that time wasting away at the academy. No use worrying about it now. He turned his head onto his side to get a brief glance at the alarm clock on his wooden side table. 6 a.m. Well, I guess I should get going now, the blonde said, bored. Naruto quickly pulled on a pair of gray shorts and a bright orange t-shirt. He put on his blue ninja sandals and checked his weapon holster to make sure he was well equipped. Naruto twisted his apartment doorknob and immediately shunshined away, leaving a small gust of wind in his wake. He appeared at the front of a cone-shaped building with multiple stacked roofs known to most as the Academy building. As he arrived at the classroom, all the students quieted. They were afraid of him. He never socialized, never lost a spar, never showed visible signs of emotion. This, coupled with their parents' silent hatred and body language toward him, made Naruto a loner. He was not their classmate. He was a beast. A monster. A monster who would snatch them up and eat them if they weren't too careful. Stony-faced, he started toward his usual seat next to Sasuke and reclined in his seat, resting his heat in his arms. I got in first, Ino pig. Sakura shouted. Naruto sighed. Hey, get off my seat, I get to sit with Sasu. She trailed off when she realized who she was talking to. 20 minutes went by quickly as the class settled in, and Iruka started announcing the teams and their senseis. Team 7 will consist of Naruto Uzumaki, Uchiha Sasuke, and Haruno Sakura. Iruka finished. As Sakura cheered and whooped at her wonderful luck, Naruto's eyes flared with anger. Whoopee. An arrogant brat and his fangirl. Wonderful luck. 2 hours later, Iruka had long since finished calling out all the names. Where is our sensei? Sakura complained. Sasuke snorted. Naruto just feigned sleep. By now even Sasuke was fidgeting. He sent many glares of contempt at the door, as if it had done something terribly wrong. After several agonizingly long minutes, Kakashi walked in. Yo! He greeted them. Sakura pretended to welcome Kakashi, but her body language was so obvious that everyone in the room sweat dropped. Tightened fists, twitching eyebrow, fidgeting feet, Sakura might as well have been broadcasting to the world that she was pissed off. Of course Naruto did the usual thing. He lifted his head. And my first impression of you is, you're all a bunch of idiots. Meet me on the roof. Both Naruto and Kakashi shunshined up to the roof, leaving Sasuke and Sakura behind. I'm alone in the classroom with Sasuke-kun. Sakura giggled. She looked to the direction of where her beloved stood. There was no one there. Wait for me, Sasuke-kun. She squealed, running to the rooftop as she did so. Sasuke walked up the stairs into the rooftop. This was not his day. Not only he had his number one fangirl on his team, but Kami had to give him the one sensei who didn't meet his expectations for being a teacher. Naruto waited for his two pitiful teammates on the roof. Kakashi's gaze fell upon Naruto. Minato's son. Look at what he has become. His childhood ripped away from him. Damn that man. Soon after, Sakura appeared at the roof, sprinting toward Sasuke so she could sit next to her crush right when she arrived. Okay, so now that you're all here, let's introduce ourselves, shall we? Your name, what you like and dislike, hobbies, and dreams. Kakashi announced cheerily. Sensei, why don't you go first to show us how it's done? Sakura asked timidly. Well, okay. Well, my name is Hatake Kakashi. I like and dislike a lot of things. My hobbies, you don't need to know them. And I don't have any dreams. Kakashi ended with a mocking smile. Team 7 sweat dropped. Fat lot of use that was, they thought simultaneously. So blonde, why don't you go first? Kakashi asked. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, he said gravely. I like ramen and training. I dislike weak fangirls and the Kyuubi. My hobbies are training and studying scrolls. My dream is to become Hokage, and make Konoha a place of power. He knows about the Kyuubi, impossible. Who in their right mind would have told him the consequences of such a crime? I'll keep an eye on him. Kakashi muttered to himself. Well, what are you waiting for, Pinky? You're next. The Junin said. My name is Haruno Sakura. She said in a shy voice. Sakura looked at Sasuke and blushed. I don't like mean people like Naruto. She yelled. My hobbies. The pinkett looked like her face was painted crimson as she quickly glanced at her crush. My dream is. Naruto could swear that he was looking straight at a pink-haired gargantuan tomato as he listened to Sakura's speech. That's all. The pink-haired kunoichi breathed. Kakashi experienced a wave of nostalgia. Fangirl who likes mysterious strong genin, she's like Rin, albeit less experienced. Come on, Mr. Duck Butt, introduce yourself, Kakashi said with a playful smile on his face. Sasuke's eyes narrowed, practically radiating malice. I'll teach him to mock an Uchiha. Junin or not, he still thinks I'm an average genin. Underestimating me will cost him his life. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I like nothing, and I hate a lot of things. I don't have any hobbies. My dream is not a dream. It is an ambition, because I will make it true, Sasuke said darkly. I will avenge my clan and kill a certain someone. Sasuke finished with a grim smile. Well, that's a wrap. Kakashi exclaimed. Tomorrow we're going to do a survival test. Also, don't eat breakfast. You'll throw up. See you tomorrow at Training Ground 7 at 5 a.m. Kakashi immediately shunshined away, and Naruto followed suit. Sasuke leapt away, rooftop to rooftop, and Sakura tried to do the same. The sound of a large crash reverberated around the village, and soon after, someone would walk by and wonder why there was a kunoichi-shaped hole in the weapons store wall. Naruto sat on the saggy, wooden rooftop at 4 o'clock, gazing up at the stars. He wore a pair of baggy black pants and gray and orange t-shirt with a Konoha symbol on it. Naruto sighed, thinking about the training he put himself through to get to his level. Flashback. Thunk, thunk, thunk. The kunai hit the trees so hard that they toppled over, roots still stuck in the ground. He lay there panting in the middle of the square-mile-wide clearing that he had, accidentally, created while training. Naruto always trained in the forest. There was no one there to glare at him. No one there to stand by at the side watching in horror and awe. He felt at peace in the green, sheltered place. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, he yelled. When the smoke cleared, 4 reinforced shadow clones replaced it and got in a stance. Our favorite blonde put a bandana on his eyes, effectively blinding himself. The clones attacked him ruthlessly with kunai, shuriken, and anything in his vast arsenal of techniques. Suryuden no Jutsu. One of them cried. Dodging the destructive jutsu, Naruto followed up with a devastating blow to the stomach, and finished him off by punching him in the face. The clone didn't stand a chance. It dispelled with a poof. Taking advantage of the opening, the 3 clones closed in on their original, doing hand seals for the blade of wind. I know it's a Suna technique, but this is my story. Fuden. Kase no Yaiba. They yelled, throwing the deadly wind blades as they did so. Should have to dodge, Naruto thought. He leapt in the air and started doing hand seals for the technique that would finish the battle. Suryuden no Jutsu. He yelled, plummeting down at the clones with the killer jutsu. The damage was devastating. A beat-up Naruto stood in the new smoking crater that sat in the middle of the clearing. The ground was soaked. You couldn't walk anywhere without your feet sinking 5 inches into the mud. Naruto dried it up with a weak fireball technique and staggered back to the wooden gates of Konohakagure. Flashback end. I guess that I should go now. He yawned, hopping off the creaky wood. Naruto relished the peaceful morning. No noisy kids, no angry parents, and best of all, it was quiet. Deafeningly quiet. Quiet allowed Naruto to think. It allowed him to calm his mind. Aarrrgh. God damn it. He sprinted in the direction of the sound. Hokage residence. How unfortunate. It seems I have a witness, the cloaked figure spoke calmly as he unsheathed his katana. Iruka backed away, sweat pouring down his neck, shivering with fear. There's no way you'll get away with the forbidden scroll. He discreetly pulled out a kunai. I have no chance. Have to escape. Must warn. Iruka gurgled, blood seeping out of his mouth. Warm liquid soaked his Chunin flak jacket. He looked down to see the blood-soaked katana pulled out of his abdomen. He collapsed in a small pool of his own blood, his body twitching pathetically on the ground. Still picking on weaklings, wolf. Naruto stood on a tree branch at the edge of the clearing, staring impassively at the hooded figure. The cloaked figure turned toward the blonde boy. Do not get in my way. Don't get the delusion that just because you are a Jinchuriki that master will let you off easily. It is easy enough to kill you and create a new Jinchuriki. With that, the figure leapt onto the branch and shunshined away, or at least he would have, if a kunai were not embedded in his skull. The mysterious person toppled off the branch and fell to the ground with a thud. Naruto grinned, sharp teeth glinting in the moonlight. Shinobi rule of battle number 1. Never turn your back on an enemy. That may be true, Naruto acquiesced, but never forget that there is nothing more disposable than a mindless drone. His good mood was suddenly wiped away by one thought. I have to get Iruka to the hospital, don't I? He sighed in defeat and leapt down to the ground to fling Iruka over his shoulders. Naruto shunshined to the front entrance of the hospital. He entered quickly, not wasting any time. Get your ass up and get this guy treated. Naruto barked at the drowsy secretary, who hurriedly called a doctor to get Iruka in a hospital room. A team of medics rushed to Iruka and laid him on a stretcher. Kidney punctured. Bleeding out. Need disinfectant, a medic muttered as Iruka was rushed away. His job done, Naruto strolled out of the hospital and headed toward the training ground. 9:30 p.m. Naruto sat in a tree, observing his teammates from above. Despite a calm, cool facade, he was actually rather irked at his sensei's tardiness. Punctuality was an essential factor of the path to becoming a strong shinobi. Kakashi Hatake of all people should be stern, strict. He shouldn't be late, and relaxed. Sakura fumed, while Sasuke brooded. They could be described as people doing completely different actions, however they were both thinking the same thing. Where the hell is our sensei? A swirl of leaves and a poof of smoke revealed their sensei, mockingly smiling at the two genin. You're late, Sakura screamed, increasingly frustrated at her terrible luck. Paired up in the same team as the murderous psychopath of the year, a sensei who obviously couldn't care less about training them, and the fact that being paired up with the best students in her year meant that she was the dead last. Not exactly Sakura's ideal week. Well, on my way here a black cat crossed my path, so I had to take a longer route. Kakashi answered with an eye smile. Sakura grumbled and sat down on a wooden bench. My, Sakura, why are you sitting down? Kakashi asked. Well, Naruto isn't here yet, and Sakura trailed off when Kakashi chuckled, wearing a genuinely confused expression. Naruto's been here for half an hour already. Why don't you come out, Naruto? Kakashi informed them. Naruto gracefully hopped out of his tree and walked over to his team with his hands in his pockets. Now that you're all here, Kakashi said, ignoring the glare that Sakura was giving him. I will explain the rules of the survival game. There are 2 bells. You have until sundown to take them from me. The person who doesn't get one has to go back to the academy. Come at me with the intent to kill. 3, 2, 1, go. All 3 genin disappeared from sight. Kakashi was surprised to find that he could only find 2 chakra signatures. Sakura's pav. There's no way I can get a bell before Naruto and Sasuke. Just not possible. All I can do now is help Sasuke pass. Maybe he'll notice me then. I'll just have to make do with passing next year. With her newfound determination, Sakura set out with a steely gaze. Behind you. Sakura froze. Back to regular POV, which is everyone's. Naruto heard an ear-splitting scream. Sakura's out. Now let's see how Sasuke does. The test was dubious at best, and a trick at worst. There was no way that they would be passed as a two-man cell. It just wasn't done. Most likely it was a teamwork exercise. Naruto thought about teaming up with Sasuke, but quickly discarded the plan. Sasuke was too prideful to team up with him, and Sakura would blindly followed Sasuke around like he had a leash tied around her neck. With the current arrangements, it was impossible to pass the test the normal way. 5 shuriken flew out from the brush, forcing Kakashi did a kawarimi to get out of the way. Seems like Sasuke's making his move. Naruto inwardly laughed at the attack, amused at Sasuke's attempt to harm Kakashi. The leaves rustled, which indicated that Sasuke was now running. He was caught. Of course, no normal genin could outspeed a Junin. Kakashi relaxed and let Sasuke become confident, allowing the Uchiha to think that he stood a chance in battle, before proceeding to beat him into the ground with a smile on his face. Sasuke ended up being dragged into the ground up to his neck, gritting his teeth as he tried to move. Well, I guess it's time I made my move. He raised his chakra signature to astounding heights to scare Kakashi, and made 5 reinforced clones, 4 of which ran in and surrounded their original sensei. The last one sprinted in the general direction of his teammates. Naruto lowered his chakra signature again. The clones effectively cut Kakashi's chakra reserves in half, ruthlessly pounding him with deadly jutsu and strategically thrown kunai. Eventually the Jonin destroyed all of them but one, and the last clone escaped. Naruto closed in on his sensei, preparing a earth-style jutsu. Doden. Doskuryu, he yelled. A colossal dragon rose from the earth with the intent to obliterate the Sharingan user. Naruto made 2 clones and they all charged in, kunai poised for attack. Kakashi's eye widened in shock. Incredible. That's an A-rank jutsu. This is the result of that training. The silver-haired shinobi dodged past both clones and went straight for the original with the intent to dispatch him in one move. Naruto watched as the limp forms of Sasuke and Sakura slammed into his sensei's back, causing him to collapse on the ground. And I'll take these, Naruto said smugly. Naruto's and his clone high-fived, before it poofed into smoke. Kakashi slowly staggered up into a semi-standing position, causing the unconscious forms of Sasuke and Sakura to topple onto the ground. You realized what the real meaning of the test was, huh? You just knew that the other genin would never team up with you? Kakashi asked. Reeing. The alarm sounded for sundown. I guess the whole team passes. I can't only pass you, Kakashi said with an eye smile. Let's inform them of the good news. It was then that Sakura's eyes fluttered open. She turned, then. Oh Sasuke, are you okay? I was so worried about you. Sakura cried, throwing her arms onto of him. Get off of me, Sasuke said, annoyed by his teammates' scary tactics. Well, what do we have here? Kakashi said. Sasuke's face turned as red as it could possibly get, although Sakura acted as though nothing happened. Why don't you tell your teammates the real reason of the test? The lazy ninja said. It was teamwork, Naruto answered, surprising his teammates. You two are too stubborn to even think of it. And Sakura, you didn't even try to get the bells, much less team up. I knew from the start that you would have rejected my offer for help, so I never asked weaklings. Naruto said, glaring at Sakura. That's all, Kakashi said cheerfully. Sakura, Sasuke, you're dismissed. Naruto watched as his sensei's demeanor changed abruptly. The Jonin turned to face his student. Naruto, I want to know how you know those jutsu, Kakashi said seriously. I took scrolls from Konoha's library. I had to find a way to protect myself from the damned villagers. But then I found out that learning new jutsu and training as hard as I can makes me calmer, and more peaceful, Naruto answered truthfully. It gets my mind off things. I know there's more to it. The blonde's expression turned guarded. That's all I'm going to tell you. I'm leaving. Kakashi watched as his cold and powerful student sprinted away, out of his grasp. Yugito stood at the Kurabi's rapping stage. Kurabi-san, your brother is gonna kick your if you don't stop rapping. Yugito said exasperatedly. Don't worry, cuz I'm the rappin' killer bee. Kono Yaro, Baka Yaro. The blonde rapper yelled, flinging his arms in the air. The large crowd below them cheered. Killer bee, I'm your #1 fan. One of them screamed. It's your face, Yugito muttered. Once I start, I gotta finish my rap. Kono Yaro, Baka Yaro. Kurabi said, fake tears coming out of his eyes. Yugito's sweat dropped. He was going to be in for a beating. Boom. Kurabi's face was smashed to the earth face first with a mighty crash. Baka. The Raikage yelled, I told you not to rap anymore. I'll keep on rappin' even if ya kick me cause rappin's my life, not to do it'd be a sin. Kurabi answered energetically. Bonk. After the two brothers calmed down, Yugito asked why the Raikage was here of all places. We cannot discuss it here, come to my office. The old man replied. Yugito sprinted to the Raikage's office at speeds that the human eye could not follow, leaving B to entertain his fans. The two entered the building at lightning speed. Ohayo gozaimasu, Raikage-sama, the secretary greeted with a smile. Dismissed. A growled. Hi. The secretary hurried away, eager to escape the wrath of the Raikage. The two settled in, while the Raikage activated privacy seals. Not even Shinobigashira could listen in. This will be an S-ranked mission, said. Hi. The nine-tailed Jinchuriki is a rogue. Unpredictable. Mysterious. Powerful. And at the tender age of 12. With proper training, this child could become one of the most powerful Jinchuriki in existence. Yugito had a lump in her throat. She knew what the Raikage meant by proper training. The tortuous training that no one should have to endure. Do I want to subject another person to that training? This is a child. He has a whole life ahead of him. Do I want to ruin that? Yes. Yes, because it is for my village. I want you to convince him to come to Kumo. You will have as much time as you need. Try to empathize with him, but if you can't, force him to come. Only a Jinchuriki can do this. Hi, Raikage-sama, but I must question your judgment. I may be a Jonin, but I'm only 14, wouldn't Kurabi-san be the better choice? He is stronger, and more experienced. Yugito said questioningly. I made Yugito younger for Naruto's sake. The aged Raikage sighed, the village needs B, he is the strongest Jinchuriki in the village. Therefore, you are the better choice. His sensei is Kakashi of the Sharingan, and should he find out what you are doing, he will do everything in his power to stop you. Lay low and make sure he doesn't notice you. The boy may be just a fresh genin, but beware, hardly any information has been found on him. He tends to slip away. The rest of the info is in this scroll. You have a month to prepare, it will not be easy. Go. Alright. The young Jinchuriki said. Naruto's paw of 10 o'clock. Our blonde hero stood with his team in training ground 7, waiting for his late sensei. Technically, he arrived an hour late, but since Kakashi hadn't arrived yet, it didn't really matter. Ah, there he is. Naruto thought. A miniature tornado of wind and leaves appeared, and when it cleared, Kakashi stood in its place, smiling cheerfully. Today Team 7 is going to embark on its first mission. Kakashi said. Sakura cheered, and even Sasuke couldn't suppress a small smile, although Naruto's face remained emotionless. They don't know what I know, Naruto smirked inwardly. His teammates would be in for a huge disappointment. Time skip 10:30. Ah, I got poop all over my hands. Sakura screamed, flailing her now filthy arms through the air around her. Kakashi smiled. The first mission for Team 7, cleaning dog poop from a local park. Split up the work. Naruto has to clean 3/5 of the park, and Sasuke and Sakura have to clean up the rest. Kakashi has to read Ika Ika Paradise. Naruto sat on a park bench, sharpening his kunai. He looked up now and then to watch Sasuke pick up dog waste with a disgusted look on his face. The blonde had finished cleaning his area in a minute. It was a simple matter of using weak wind and water style jutsus to clean it up. Who cared that the poop just ended up on the civilians in the park? This is the life, he thought, staring at the sky. Time skip 3:30. A filthy-looking Team 7 stood in the Hokage's office, tired and weary from the 5D ranks that they did. Naruto was the exception, even though he did most of the work. Despite that, there was one thing they were all doing. Glaring at their treacherous sensei. Kakashi looked amused. The tiny amount of killer intent that Sakura and Sasuke were sending him was pitiful. It could probably scare a guinea pig to death. That was until Naruto also turned toward him. Naruto was fed up with bullshit. Old man, he growled, stop fooling around. The old Hokage sighed, although he hid a mischievous smile under the emotional mask that he put up for the genin. Fine, I will give something equivalent of AB rank. You will capture the daimyo's wife's prisoner. She will be identified by the pink ribbon on her head. Be careful, for the prisoner is quick to attack, and will not come quietly. This scroll contains the rest of the info. The Hokage chuckled inwardly. Sasuke and Sakura were satisfied, but Naruto was suspicious. He had heard older genin talk excitedly about a prisoner they were assigned to catch. Those same kids came back with multiple scratches on their face and torn ribbon, muttering, damn cat, over and over again. If you don't know what the mission is now, then you cannot consider yourself a Naruto fan. Team 7 stood in a strategic position, trying to capture the escaped prisoner. Target spotted. Crow, are you in position? Yes, I am. Cherry Blossom, I am too. Fox, I'm in position. Crow, Cherry Blossom, attack. Fox, your backup. Sasuke and Sakura raced at the evil cat, arms outstretched. I've caught him. Sasuke yelled. Wait a minute, it's a cat. Miru, wow. Tora clawed her captor's face until the Uchiha was good and bloody, and raced off, escaping from an extremely pissed off Sasuke. Naruto sprinted after the striped feline and out of the sight of the rest of his team, leaving them to wait for him. An anime nuclear bomb exploded at full force. Naruto appeared a minute later with a smoking feline, wearing a smirk on his face. Never said she had to be alive, he said smugly. Kakashi's sweat dropped. Naruto, I'm pretty sure that bringing her back alive was heavily implied, the silver-haired Jonin said, shaking his head. Technicalities, Naruto sniffed haughtily, lifting his chin up in a typical rich kid fashion. The exasperated sensei turned to see that the sun was already setting. Kakashi brightened up immediately. Well, that's it for today. Come back tomorrow at 6 a.m. to embark on your next exciting mission. Team 7 groaned, and even Naruto had a sullen expression on his face. And with that, Naruto and Kakashi shunshined away, and Sakura and Sasuke left as well. Team 7 stood in the Hokage's office, waiting to receive their next D rank. For your next mission, you can choose from weeding a garden, going grocery shopping, babysit a well-behaved infant, or that's enough, I'm not taking any more crap. Naruto thought. No way. Team 7 yelled, shaking their fists at the leader of the village. The bearded Hokage took a deep breath, and then began his speech. Missions are graded by rank, A, B, C, and D rank. Fresh genin always get D ranks because they need to gain experience. Chunin are assigned C and B ranks, Jonin get A ranks, and genin like you get D ranks. Sarutobi gazed at the four people in front of him, ready to gauge their reactions. However, what he saw was unexpected. And all that was left was a crater. Sasuke said, appalled. Yeah, even the Chunin were killed. Sakura said intriguingly. Naruto smirked. Of course they were killed. They encountered a near Jonin level missing nin. He joined in the conversation eagerly. The cigar fell out of the Hokage's mouth. They weren't even listening. In fact, they were probably just talking the whole time. Then he thought about how the genin said that they were ready. To tell the truth, they probably were. Sasuke and Naruto were the best in their grade, and the Haruno girl could probably be able to think up impressive strategies that could rival a Jonin's. I will give you a true C rank, he announced, gaining their immediate attention. You will escort a bridge builder to the land of waves. Protect him from bandits and other criminals. How do we know that you aren't just sending us on another nightmarish D rank? Sasuke grumbled, determined not to be fooled a second time. You have my word that this one is for real. Trust me, a Hokage never lies. Naruto snorted. Ignoring Team 7's antics, the Sandaime called in Tazuna. Tazuna walked in with a wine bottle, red-faced from drinking too much alcohol. What's this? They're just a bunch of brats. He grumbled, clearly dissatisfied. The bridge builder shut up when 3 pairs of eyes started glaring at him with massive amounts of killer intent. Kakashi decided to speak up. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, stop trying to scare our client to death, and also, Mr. Tazuna, my team and I are more than capable of handling the situation even if something goes wrong. He said, appealing to the old drunk. Now, is everything clear? Sarutobi asked. Everyone nodded their heads. Meet at me at the gate at 5 o'clock so don't be late. Kakashi ended with an eye smile. Team 7 snorted. Time skip. Next day 4:45. Sasuke and Sakura arrived at the gates of Konoha, ready to wait for their other teammate and their ever-late sensei. That was why they were surprised to find Naruto and Kakashi waiting for them. You're not late, Sakura yelled, shocked beyond degree. It's a genjutsu, it's a genjutsu, it's a genjutsu, Sasuke repeated in his head, hoping that he hadn't gone crazy. What are you talking about? Naruto asked, annoyed. How could I be late for my cute little genin's first C rank? Kakashi said, imitating a baby's voice. Sakura's eyelids twitched. Great. While we wait for Tazuna, we can do some team bonding. Kakashi announced cheerfully. No. Damn. Way. Naruto thought, trying to imagine what Kakashi was thinking. He disappeared in a swirl of leaves, leaving the rest of his team to have fun with Kakashi. The blonde Jinchuriki walked down the street towards Ichiraku Ramen, wondering what kind of gruesome torture Kakashi had thought up for Sasuke and Sakura. Oh well, I get my ramen, he thought, sitting down at his favorite restaurant. Hey, old man. 3 bowls of miso ramen. Tsuki gave him his bowls. Time skip 5 o'clock. Team 7 and Tazuna stood just outside of Konoha, ready to leave. Well, my minions, off we go. Kakashi announced with an eye smile. The genin walked down the path, thinking that they were ready for anything this mission could throw at them. How very wrong they were. Omake. Team 7's bonding. Now, we are going to play team hide and seek tag Ninken. A chibi Kakashi announced, causing a chibi Sasuke and Sakura to sweat drop. Kakashi summoned his ninja dogs, and then explained the rules of the game. You hide, and then my Ninkens find you. Then, you play tag. When they catch you, you lose, got it? Sakura couldn't help but find that something was missing. But sensei, if that's how we lose, then how do we win? You don't. 3, 2, 1, go. The large hounds sprinted towards them, bearing their large, knife-like teeth. An ear-splitting scream woke up many people in the village that night. Team 7 trudged across the dirt path, excited that they might finally get some action. Naruto walked past a puddle, noticing that it was laced in chakra. He stared at Kakashi, expecting for a confirmation. Kakashi met his eye, and then looked away. That was all Naruto needed as he sharpened his senses, getting ready for an attack. Without warning, spiked chains captured Kakashi, pulling him apart. 2 men with mist forehead protectors appeared behind Naruto, mistakenly thinking that he was the weakest of the team. The blonde responded accordingly, sun shining above them, kicking them both in the head. The first kick knocked out Mizu, but Guzu stayed conscious, and made a desperate lunge for Tazuna. To his surprise, Sasuke intervened, kicking the mist nin in the ribs. This only slowed his pace however and he continued toward Tazuna. Sakura stood in front of the petrified bridge builder, kunai held up. Just as Naruto was about to kill Guzu, Kakashi appeared, holding the mist nin in a half Nelson. Naruto and Sasuke glared at him. Show off, they thought. Tazuna-san, the Jonin said. Yeah, what? We need to talk. Once the demon brothers were all tied up, Kakashi spoke. These are Chunin from the Hidden Mist Village. Their specialty is relentless attack, They never give up, no matter what the sacrifice, the lazy Jonin said. How did you know about our attack? Guzu coughed out, struggling to stay conscious. Then Naruto entered the conversation. A puddle, laced with chakra, Naruto said. Kakashi nodded. Then why'd you let the genin do the fighting? Tazuna said angrily. I had to know who they were after. Us, or you? Kakashi replied. Noticeable sweat started to drip down Tazuna's neck, showing how nervous he was. We're beyond the scope of this mission. Lying to us is unacceptable. We should go back, we're just genin, this is too advanced for us. Kakashi might be able to handle it, but one of us might get hurt, Sakura said. No, Naruto and Sasuke simultaneously disagreed. What? We've come too far to go back. Naruto spoke alone now. If we go back now, we won't get AC rank in months, maybe even a year, just because of this incident. This is the first chance we have to prove ourselves. We can prove that we're not just little kids, pretending that we're ninja. Besides, I never back down from anything. The last statement came out as a whisper, word possessing power all the same. A thin layer of silence spread throughout the air. Everyone was stunned. Kakashi was the one who first spoke. I guess that means we're going on then. Count yourself lucky, Tazuna, that Naruto and Sasuke are the most stubborn genin in their grade. Tazuna nodded, grateful that they would continue protecting him. Team 7 continued down the road, leaving the demon brothers behind. Then, for seemingly no reason, Naruto threw a kunai into a bush. It was only a white snow rabbit, but the blonde narrowed his eyes. Naruto. Sakura scolded, you scared us, I thought there was an attack. Naruto didn't answer, he just threw a kunai at a tree. Kakashi widened his eyes. Everyone, duck, he yelled, causing everyone to crouch low. A large spinning sword sailed right over where their heads should have been and stuck into a tree with a thunk. A man with bandages covering his mouth stood on top of the oversized cleaver, looking amused. Kakashi of the Sharingan, he chuckled evilly, what an honor it is to meet you. Kakashi forced himself to make small talk with the heinous Mist Nin. Well, if it isn't Zabuza Momochi. He said casually, as if they were discussing something over tea. This won't be easy, he thought. Naruto, guard the bridge builder, you may be strong, but you don't have X-ray vision, Kakashi instructed. Naruto gave his sensei a puzzled look. He understood that Kakashi possessed a Sharingan, but he failed to see why he couldn't help. Looks like I'll need this, the silver-haired Jonin said. Kakashi placed his hand on his forehead protector and pulled it up to reveal a single, blood-red eye. Sasuke's eyes widened. The Sharingan. Only Uchihas possess that power. Could he be? The Uchiha's train of thought was cut off as Zabuza laughed. This will be fun, said the bandaged Nin. Without warning, Zabuza disappeared and reappeared standing in the lake, building up huge amounts of chakra. Team 7 instantly became alert, getting ready for whatever Zabuza had planned. Sweden. Kurigakure no Jutsu. He yelled. Thick mist surrounded everyone like a veil, making it impossible to see. Soon even Kakashi, who stood right in front of them, disappeared. So this is what Kakashi meant, Naruto thought with dread, I have powerful jutsu, and I know how to use them, but they won't work if I can't see. Naruto could beat the clones while he was blinded because they were a lot weaker than him. 8 points, a malicious voice echoed through the air. Larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular, artery, kidneys, heart. Which one should I kill you with? Suddenly, Kakashi let out large swirling strands of chakra, so powerful that it cleared away enough mist that Team 7 could see their sensei again. Sasuke trembled uncontrollably as he felt the incredible amount of killer intent that the Jonin were exerting. Am I going crazy? No, I'd rather die, Sasuke thought, as he slowly lowered his kunai into his stomach. Snap out of it, Sasuke. Naruto growled. Kakashi isn't a wimp, he won't let us die, baka. Don't take your own life unnecessarily, got it? Sasuke nodded, and then went back into a defensive position. I wouldn't be so sure, the bandaged Nin smirked. Without warning, Zabuza appeared between Team 7 and the bridge builder, sword ready to strike down everything in its path. Damn it, Naruto thought, as he turned to face the former Mist Nin. S's Jing. Kakashi stood in front of Zabuza, kunai embedded in the swordsman's abdomen. A steady flow of liquid dripped onto the ground, forming a small puddle. It took the genin a moment to notice that it wasn't blood. Another Zabuza rose behind Kakashi, and swung his sword, slicing him in half, expecting blood, only to be splashed in the face by water. It's over, Kakashi said, kunai positioned at Zabuza's neck. Nice try, but I'm not that easy to fool, the Mist Nin smiled underneath his bandages. A third Zabuza appeared behind Kakashi, right after the clone exploded in a splash of water, bringing his sword down onto the copy Nin. Kakashi dodged, but was kicked into the air and fell into the lake, to the surprise of Sasuke and Sakura. The silver-haired Jonin hid in the water, trying to figure out why it was so dense. Suddenly, Zabuza shunshin behind Kakashi, forming complicated hand seals. Suiru no jutsu, he yelled. Tons of thick water engulfed the silver-haired Nin in a sphere, preventing him from escaping. So much for the great Kakashi, Zabuza laughed. This water is as strong as hardened steel, you'll never escape. But first, I need to take care of the brats. Sweden. Mizu Bunshin no Jutsu. 10 clones appeared on the battlefield, poised to strike. Now that the mist is gone, I can take him out no problem, Naruto smiled. The blonde shunshin behind the water clones and killed them with his kunai, then turned around to face Zabuza, doing hand seals for a water dragon. Kakashi recognized the hand seals and chuckled. Zabuza, I truly do feel sorry for you right now. Sweden. Suiryuden no Jutsu. Zabuza recognized the name and sneered, ah, does the kiddo want to play ninja? I know you can't do a jutsu like that, you're just a kid. A stupid, ignorant, little bastard, holy she. Hundreds of gallons of water slammed into the Mist Nin in the form of a dragon, effectively shutting him up. After the huge torrent of water subsided, Zabuza was found leaning on his sword with his knees on the ground, coughing up water and completely soaked from head to toe. Luckily for Kakashi, the water prison protected him from the brunt of the impact, so he didn't get hurt. You damn kid, Zabuza roared, as he sprinted toward Naruto with a murderous look on his face. Kakashi moved to help his student, but stopped when he saw the look on his student's face. It said, ruin this moment for me and I will kill you. The bandaged Nin slashed at Naruto again and again, not hitting the blonde a single time. Now is the time, while he's blinded by rage, Naruto thought, as he jumped as high as he could to dodge another swing. Before he descended, Naruto did the hand seals for a water dragon jutsu. Not way that's going to work twice. Zabuza yelled. The Mist Nin lunged at Naruto with his sword poised to stab the blonde's abdomen, the spot he left vulnerable when he started doing hand seals. Got you, Naruto thought, as he dodged to the side to avoid the thrust. Too late, Zabuza realized his mistake as he overextended, leaving himself wide open for our favorite blonde to hit. Naruto kneed him in the gut, then kicked his chin and watched as he slammed into a tree, forming a miniature crater. Just as Naruto was closing in to finish him off, Tsusenban impaled Zabuza's neck, and he fell limp. A boy wearing a Hunter Nin mask jumped down. Thank you for slowing down Zabuza for me, I have been tracking him for a long time, the boy said. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Why did he use Senbon? Senbon are used for pressure points, and are very hard to kill with. The Hunter Nin's main job is to kill, and Senbon are good for anything but that. His suspicions were confirmed when the Hunter Nin shunshined away instead of disposing of Zabuza's body. We have to be ready for next time, Naruto said. So you noticed it too, huh? Said Kakashi. Naruto nodded, he wasn't a real hunter. Sakura had a confused look on her face, then why didn't you stop him? Because I had to be sure. If he was a real hunter, then attacking him could result in a war with the mist. Kakashi said. Tazuna-san, we need a place to rest, we're all worn out and we need sleep. Alright, My house isn't far from here, you can rest there, I'll lead the way. Team 7 walked toward Tazuna's house, completely worn out. Sasuke walked a bit slower, deep in thought. We started on this mission full of energy and eager to prove ourselves. Hell, I even thought it would be easy. But now I'm thinking that we might not make it. Team 7, minus Naruto, sat on a couch in Tazuna's living room, discussing their next move. Naruto had collapsed from exhaustion right when they reached the house, forcing Sasuke to carry him into one of Tazuna's spare rooms. Right now, all I can do for you is train you. After that last battle, Zabuza's going to be thirsting for our blood. The only way you're going to survive if train get a lot stronger. I need you to be at the point where you can help in the battle, not just guard the bridge builder. Kakashi said. Okay, so what type of training are you going to do? Sakura asked curiously. Tree climbing, of course, Kakashi said, back in his normal lazy, cheerful mood. Sasuke's eyelid twitched. Tree climbing. What the hell are we supposed to do with that? He said incredulously. Without a word, Kakashi smiled knowingly and walked out the door, beckoning for them to follow. Bewildered, the two genin followed their sensei out the door, trying to make sense of how climbing trees was supposed to train them. Naruto. The refreshed blonde woke up on a bed in a room he didn't recognize. He got up and walked out the open door, and to his surprise, a woman was standing right in front of him. What the? He started, reaching into his weapons pouch. No. Don't attack me. I'm Tsunami, Tazuna's daughter. This is his house. Your team left to train in the woods, she explained as quickly as she could. Relaxing, Naruto took his hand out of his pouch and said, thanks, before he ran through the hallway and out the door, running into the thick green forest. Oh. Sasuke and Sakura watched as Kakashi walked over to the tree. He planted a foot on the trunk. And another. And another. Until he was literally walking up the tree as if it was the ground. The two genin's mouth hung open, eyes widening like discs. Why you're walking up a tree? Sakura whispered. Yes, whatever, Kakashi replied, trying to hide his pleasure at Sakura's compliment. Just focus your chakra at your feet and climb up. Chop, we haven't got all day. My Ninken will be here to motivate you. The Genin got a terrible feeling in their gut when they heard the word motivate. Seeing the horror in their eyes, Kakashi tried to, reassure the genin. Don't worry. It's not like they'll be waiting at the bottom of the tree with open jaws. Well, okay, they will, but it won't be that bad. Let's just say that while he didn't fail to motivate them, but his reassurance needed some work. Naruto lay in his newly made smoking crater, panting in exhaustion. His location stood only about 150 yards away from Team 7's training ground, far enough so he could have peace, but close enough so he could easily communicate with them if need be. He started to think about the hunter Nin. Who would help a man like Zabuza? He was a kid, there was no reason for him to help the missed Nin. Even if Zabuza had forced him to travel with him, he could have escaped. Zabuza was tired. Naruto was exhausted, but Kakashi wasn't. There was no way that Zabuza could have escaped without the boy. Without warning, a shadow loomed over him. You destroyed the herbs, now how will I collect them? A strange boy leaned over him, waiting for an answer. Sorry, I didn't know they were herbs, Naruto apologized. S'alright. There are still enough, just more widespread. My name's Haku. The blonde-eyed Haku suspiciously. A pink kimono. Seriously. And why is he gathering herbs in the middle of nowhere? All of these thoughts fit together like puzzle pieces, solving the grand mystery. The hunter Nin. There were so many questions he wanted to ask, yet he couldn't, because they would lead to pointless bloodshed. Besides, he didn't even know how strong Haku was yet. Naruto decided to say nothing, at least not yet. I'll help you, the blonde decided. Pick the green ones, the yellow ones are dead, they won't do anything but make people itchy. Haku said. He isn't very good at keeping secrets. Naruto observed. Why do you train so hard? Naruto looked at the long-haired boy in surprise. Do you have anyone you want to protect? Precious people. Haku continued. Naruto regarded his fellow 12-year-old boy. No. Naruto said it bluntly, not softening anything whatsoever. People who do not have others who are precious people tend to live an unhappy life, Haku said truthfully. But then again, if you live your life doing the right thing and are lonely because of it, I guess it is okay. So even though you don't have precious people, you should do the right thing, and that should make you happy. That is what I believe, Haku finished, trying to read Naruto's expression. Why are you telling me this? Naruto was genuinely confused, although he didn't show it. I don't have many kids my age to talk to. And I think that you should do what you think is right, or you'll end up becoming something that you know is wrong. Naruto stayed silent, lost in thought. So even though you don't have precious people, you should do the right thing, and that should make you happy. Those words repeated themselves over and over in Naruto's mind. What do I think is right? The two boys continued gathering herbs in silence. When they finished, they stood up. By the way, I'm a boy, the kimono-clad boy told Naruto. Naruto raised an eyebrow. I know. It was Haku's turn to be surprised. Really? I'm actually quite used to people thinking I'm a girl. Haku shrugged, and bade Naruto farewell. The blonde also bade Haku farewell, but with troubling thoughts. Did he do the right thing by letting the boy go? Haku didn't seem like a bad person, but judging by the way he threw those Senbon, he was obviously a powerful ninja. Zabuza would probably bring him along, he wouldn't underestimate Team 7 again. Without Haku, it would take a lot longer for Zabuza to heal up. If he had surprised him and killed him, then maybe. The right thing. Naruto stood up and left the field. He had done the right thing by letting Haku leave in peace. But the next time they saw each other, they would be enemies. He would go for the kill with no qualms whatsoever. Tazuna's house. 30 minutes later. Team 7, Tazuna, and Inari sat at the dinner table eating while Tsunami cooked. Grandpa, why are those ninja even here? They're just gonna die. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. Gato's gonna slaughter them, just like they did with Dad. Naruto was getting annoyed. Hey kid, do everyone a favor and shut up, will you? Everyone gasped. Naruto, don't say that to our client's grandson. Sakura scolded. Not even Dad could kill Gato. No way losers like you will be able to kill him. Inari screamed. Will you just quit whining and shut up? If you're sad about something, do something about it. Stop being a self-pitying bastard, damn it. Inari said nothing. He walked out the door and gently closed it. Running could be heard from inside the house. Well, that's it, Naruto said, as he stood up and walked into his room. Kakashi was silent. All he knew was that Naruto had hurt a boy, and that he would talk to Inari. Yugito. The blonde kunoichi sat on her bed in her room, flipping through a stack of files. She was looking for information about Naruto. So far, all she had was that he was strong for his age, he had blue eyes, and had bright blonde hair. Everything else was repetitive. She sighed in frustration. Naruto was the freaking Jinchuriki of Konoha. How come her village had more information about a fat kid named Choji? Nothing in the files was there information about his academy scores, his training, his styles of fighting, nothing. Yugito stopped when she laid her hands on a small, folded, crinkled sheet of paper. Unfolding it, she stared intensely at the mysterious slip of paper. There was something about it that was strange. Why was it folded and wrinkled? It was like someone crumpled it up and was about to throw it away, but then decided to put it with the files anyway. But not noticeable. She read the slip of paper. Her face paled. If you're reading this, then you are trying to hunt down the one called Naruto. Be warned, he is far more powerful than he seems. This is all the information I was able to obtain before he lost me. It's not much, but I'm sure it's more than what anyone else obtained. Here it is. Naruto. Arguably the most hardworking ninja in Konoha. Rookie of the year by far. Strength. High Jonin. People who want him dead. His whole village. Whoever found that info was crazy. At least, that's what Yugito kept trying to tell herself. Except that when she thought about the other Jinchuriki she knew, which wasn't many, she began to believe the information. Because all Jinchuriki were alike in many ways. Yugito dodged spies from other villages all the time. She was high Jonin level. Her village had no considerable amount of love for her. And she knew that the information was true. Naruto. Naruto was having a bad day. Kakashi had taken him out to the forest to train. The Jonin said that they were just having a practice spar, but once they started, it was clear that the Sharingan user was battering Naruto with everything he had. Naruto managed to dodge most of the blows, but he still got bruises all over his body, and boy they hurt. The blonde actually won that fight. It was a simple matter of tiring Kakashi out and then going in for the final hit, but even so, Kakashi walked out of the fight with a lot less wounds than Naruto did. Kakashi was still sore over the fact that a mere genin had been able to defeat him so easily in his bell test. Naruto was sure of it. The Jonin didn't give a damn about who won and who lost the fight. He just wanted to walk out with less bruises than Naruto had. The silver-haired ninja was still smiling as he walked back to Tazuna's house with his student. Well, time to get revenge, Naruto smiled grimly. Kakashi would be in for a surprise. Kakashi smiled at his two students. Sasuke sat on the forest floor, panting, bite marks and scratch marks all over him. Sakura lay on the ground, knocked out. Numerous ninkin surrounded them with little concern, drool dripping down their mouths. One can never train enough. My poor ninkin are starving. They didn't even have breakfast. They need supplements, Kakashi proclaimed. The ninkin barked as if they were emphasizing Kakashi point. Sasuke gritted his teeth. How did Sakura, the hopeless fangirl with no skills whatsoever, surpass him, and Uchiha, in something as simple as climbing trees? It was inconceivable. It completely messed up his superiority complex. The pink-haired fangirl got to the top of the tree on her first try, while Sasuke, the elite Uchiha, hadn't even reached the top after numerous tries. Sasuke eyed Kakashi suspiciously. Maybe he's secretly helping her and making her seem better to motivate me, Sasuke concluded. With that happy thought in mind, Sasuke staggered to his feet and started training again. To his surprise, Sakura did too, jumping to her feet as if she wasn't even fatigued. What the? And $. How is she up? She was out cold a moment ago. Sasuke thought in wonder. Naruto watched his teammates from behind a bush, smiling grimly. Switching out Sakura with a clone when no one was watching was easier than he thought it would be. His plan was simple. So simple, in fact, that he knew Kakashi would suspect a trap by the blonde. Sakura would ask Kakashi to demonstrate how to tree walk. Kakashi would know that she was up to something, but would decide to go along. The Jonin would think that Sakura was using reverse psychology. Make it seem like the trees were the threat, but in actuality, the ground was the danger. That's what the Jonin would think. Naruto's clones hid under a genjutsu in every single tree within a square mile. Right when Kakashi stepped foot on the tree, the clone would grab his ankle. The other Narutos in the vicinity would stay hidden, and when Kakashi escaped and tried to run, they would tackle him, and do as much damage as possible. The cycle would repeat until the Jonin realized that all the trees held one of Naruto's clones. The Narutos would then proceed to attack Kakashi and beat the shit out of him. The lazy ninja would then proceed to try to annihilate the clones all at once with a Kaden or something. It wouldn't matter. The damage would already be done. Ninja trained themselves to look underneath the underneath. They weren't trained to look underneath the surface. Naruto would take advantage of that weakness. Sweet revenge, Naruto thought. Sensei, can you demonstrate tree walking again? Sakura asked timidly. Kakashi narrowed his eye, and then responded. All right. The Jonin slowly walked up the tree. That is, until a hand reached out and nearly caught his ankle. Kakashi nearly yelped in surprise, and then looked at the genin behind him. Sakura looked puzzled, while Sasuke kept training. Good, They didn't see that. I have to give Naruto credit for coming up with a plan as complicated as this. It's almost as if he had help from a friend in high place. Fiery Knight twiddles his thumbs innocently. But that doesn't mean I have to fall for it, Kakashi smirked inwardly. When the clone's hand reached out again, Kakashi stepped on it. The hand retracted immediately. The clone's hand reached out again, this time more cautious. Again, Kakashi stepped on it, and the hand retracted immediately. The third time though, Naruto tried a different tactic. He reached his hand out again, but before Kakashi stepped on it, he used his other hand to grab the Jonin's other ankle. Securing it in his wrist, Naruto punched it. Kakashi felt a bruise developing on his ankle. Trying his hardest to look normal with a bodiless hand grabbing his ankle, Kakashi jerked his foot. It wouldn't budge. He jerked again. His foot still wouldn't budge. Fine, if you want to play it that way, Kakashi thought. He reached into his weapons pouch. Or, at least he tried to. Hundreds of clones poured out from the trees, tackling him, punching him, anything imaginable. They recklessly pounded the Jonin to the ground, regardless of whether they survived or not. Kakashi finally leapt onto a tree branch, out of the reach of the clones, and annihilated all of them with a Gokyaku, but not before bruises decorated every inch of his body. The clones died simultaneously with a poof. The silver-haired Jonin nearly sighed in relief. Naruto, I swear I will get revenge. Kakashi thought, shaking his fist at the sky. With that happy thought in mind, the perverted man reached for his Ika and started to read again. Meanwhile, Sakura and Sasuke stared at the gruesome scene, dumbfounded. I don't even want to know. The two genin thought, watching Kakashi shake his fist at the innocent sky. A shadowy blonde-haired man retreated from the forest. Today was a good day, Naruto thought. Team 7 sat at the bridge, doing their usual. Usual being, Sakura was fawning over Sasuke, Sasuke was being emo, Naruto was fake sleeping, and Kakashi was muttering strange things to himself. Set thousands of traps all around town. No, don't want collateral out from the shadows with a Chidori in hand. No, too loud, or I could make a sound barrier. Team 7's sweat dropped. He's been trying to find a way to get back on Naruto forever. Sakura thought, shaking her head. Meanwhile, Naruto mentally smiled in triumph. He'll never get back at me. Sakura. Sakura closed her eyes, lost in thought. Ever since the demon brothers attacked, her self-esteem sank lower and lower, as she watched Naruto and Sasuke handle situations expertly, even when under pressure. Granted, Naruto and Sasuke were both above the level of any normal genin, but that didn't make her feel much better. All she had done was stand in front of Tazuna with a kunai, ready to piss her pants at any moment. Sakura wasn't an idiot, she knew that she would have to sacrifice her soft skin, and probably break a few nails, but anything was better than what she was feeling now. She guessed she could ask Kakashi for help, after all, he was her sensei. The pink-haired Kunoichi thought for a moment. I guess I could ask for genjutsu training. After all, sensei did tell me that I'm more than adequate at chakra control for my age, and it does take up a small amount of chakra. Genjutsu it is. Gathering up her courage, Sakura walked up to Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei? She asked. Kakashi didn't even take his nose out of his perverted book. Can you teach me genjutsu? Developing a twitch in her eye, Sakura asked again. Can you teach me genjutsu? She asked a little more impatiently. Wow, an orgy. So Ichigo and Orihime are finally doing it. Kakashi cried gleefully. Sakura became surrounded by a fiery aura, with her hair rising in the air. Fire hot enough to burn the strongest of metal raged in the Kunoichi's eyes as she cocked back her fist. For once, take your nose out of your stupid perverted book. Sakura slammed her fist into the side of the scarecrow's face. Poor Kakashi flew at least 100 yards off the bridge before he finally pitifully dropped into the water. Naruto. On the other side of the bridge, Naruto and Sasuke both snickered as they fist bumped. Too bad there's no popcorn, Naruto sniggered. Sasuke snorted in agreement. I know, right? I can't believe I didn't bring a camera. Sasuke fumed. Equals. Back to our regularly scheduled program, aka Sakura's POV PS. It's 1 hour later PSS. They're still at the bridge. Sweat dripped down Sakura's face as she panted heavily. Damn, when I asked Kakashi for genjutsu training, I never knew it was that hard. I thought genjutsu was supposed to take up really small amounts of chakra. Ma, Sakura, if you can't put me under the genjutsu by the end of the hour, I really will call you useless, Kakashi said. What Kakashi was teaching Sakura was an extremely basic D-rank genjutsu. All it did was blur vision and provide with a small headache. The genjutsu only worked when the opponent was tired, when they would think that the symptoms were from fatigue. It was extremely easy to break though. Once the opponent realized that they were in a genjutsu, they could break out of it, no sweat. Sakura closed her eyes and concentrated again, bringing her hands together to make a tiger seal. She sensed Kakashi, and slowly distorted his chakra. She heard a groan, and then a thump. The tired Kunoichi looked up. Kakashi lay on the ground, unconscious. One hand clutched the latest edition of Ika Ika like it was the only thing that mattered in the world. Wow, this could really come in handy. Sakura thought. Naruto. The blonde enjoyed his breaks from guarding the bridge builder by training. He jumped, then threw 50 junai in all directions. 50 trees just got a painful scar smack in the middle of their trunks. Training gave Naruto peace of mind. It helped him calm down, and also let him bring down his mask. His mask, that kept people thinking that he was more or less a normal kid, who, despite his rough childhood, had made it through relatively unscathed. No one ever noticed the mask because he had never let his real face show. The mask covered Naruto's excessive amount of unhealthy grudges, his anger, and most of all, his sadness. His mask was good, obviously. It had held up his whole life, after all. But it still needed a break. Otherwise he would lose himself to his mask's personality. The blonde had crossed paths with Danzo many times, too often. Danzo had his sights set on Naruto. He had his sights set on a Jinchuriki who could create an emotional mask so believable that no one noticed it for 12 years. What Danzo didn't realize, however, was that a mask that complex required emotion. Emotion, which Danzo had wiped clean from all of his personal anbu. Naruto gracefully landed on his feet. Maybe that's enough training for today. Zabuza old come any minute. I shouldn't overwork myself. As he walked back to Tazuna's house, he sensed that something was wrong. The forest seemed disturbed. Scratch that, it looked disturbed. The bush he stood in front of was plowed right over. Naruto walked further, just to come across a corpse. It wasn't human, thankfully, it was just a boar, but it had slash marks on it. The slash marks of a sword. Cursing, Naruto sprinted to the house as fast as his legs could carry him, just to hear a shrill scream when he arrived at the house. Naruto entered the door to see a sight that would have terrified most people. One tough, muscled Ronin held Tsunami by the neck, and another, skinnier Ronin raised his sword, about to strike Inari. Thunk. Thunk. 2 shuriken lodged in both the Ronin's heads as they fell to the ground. Inari stood behind the 2 dead Ronin, shaking, with a kitchen knife in hand. Inari ran towards Naruto, sobbing and thanking him. Hey, it's alright, no one's hurt. It's okay, Naruto said gruffly. I don't know how to handle kids, mask or not. That's for sure. Tsunami smiled at him gratefully. Thank you. I can't say how grateful I am for that, Tsunami said. Naruto fidgeted. He actually felt uncomfortable. The great Jonin level at age 10 Naruto felt uncomfortable. You'll be okay, right? I have to get back to my team. They're probably in trouble right now. Tsunami blinked. Of course. Thanks again. If your teammates are really in trouble right now, you should go now. Naruto nodded in acknowledgement. Then he turned to Inari, who had already dropped the knife to the floor. Hey, kid, you did pretty good. With that, he left the house, sprinting toward the bridge at full speed, cursing at the rotten timing. Back at the house, Inari let out his first genuine smile in a long time. Sasuke. Sasuke cursed, trying to figure out why the word cursed sounded extremely overused, even though he hadn't even said it before in the entire fanfiction. The raven-haired genin had been fighting the hunter Nin for some time already, but he just couldn't seem to make any progress. Kakashi was fighting Zabuza, and having a hard time of it too. He was out of the picture. Sakura looked like she was about to piss her pants. For some reason, that phrase seemed overused too. What's with overused phrases today, anyway? Naruto was on break, so he probably didn't even know that they were under attack. A Senbon pierced him in the shoulder. Damn it. Sasuke thought up a plan. If he could just get some light somewhere. With a dome of ice mirrors all around him, the light would continuously reflect off it for nearly a minute. It would blind his opponent so he could escape the stupid dome of mirrors and destroy it from the outside. Then he thought of it. Of course, if he could just make a fire. But it would have to be hot enough to emit a large and focused amount of light. Hell, something like that would take almost all of his chakra. It would probably even be enough to melt off half of an ice mirror. Doing the hand seals for the fire just you, Sasuke performed his modified Gokyaku with all his might. He heaved a huge amount of air, then blew it out in a continuous thin stream of white, near-blinding fire. When it hit one of the ice mirrors, the mirror steamed, and a thick sheet of ice melted off. I have already told you. Something as weak as that will not penetrate my ice dome, Haku said solemnly. The damaged mirror quickly rebuilt itself, and soon it was like nothing had ever happened. Sasuke smirked. Who said I wanted to destroy the mirror? Had Sasuke been able to see Haku's face, he would have seen a surprised look, and then a scrunching of eyes. The blinding light continued to reflect on the mirrors, making it harder and harder to see. It was his only chance. Sasuke ran to an opening between the mirrors, exhilarated that he had outsmarted a Junin-level shinobi. Do you think I see only with my eyes? A surprised Sasuke suddenly earned 3 Senbon lodged in his back. They were painful, but they were just flesh wounds. Hearing and smell could only do so much. Haku couldn't hit a pressure point without his sight. Without warning, 2 tomos appeared in each of Sasuke's now blood-red eyes. His senses sharpened, much to his confusion. 4 more Senbon lodged in Sasuke's back, 2 in his leg, 3 on his shoulder. Sasuke was limping now, he had almost reached the opening. A needle whistled as it shot across his body, missing it by less than a millimeter. His clothes were sliced, it was that close. With sudden horror, Sasuke realized that he couldn't move forward. A string was blocking his way. It was that Senbon. Sasuke quickly ducked under the string, but by then it was too late. Haku had earned his sight back. The Uchiha suddenly realized that his chance to escape was over. He was doomed. Damn it. If Naruto was here they could kick this guy's butt all the way to Kumo. Damn it. Naruto. If you were here, 2 Senbon hit him in the neck. Sasuke collapsed in a heap. Speak of the devil, and the devil shall come, Naruto said ominously. Suiten. Suikuden no Jutsu. Naruto slammed into the dome of mirrors at full force, shattering the whole thing instantly. Millions of glistening shards flew in all directions at once, like a bunch of tiny daggers. Naruto got Sasuke out of the way in time, dodging all of the miniature blades. Kakashi breathed a sigh of relief. Keep your eyes on your opponent, idiot. Zabuza brought his sword down. Kakashi dodged in the nick of time. Haku slowly stood up. The broken shards of the mirrors had not harmed him, he controlled ice, after all. Naruto set Sasuke down on the ground as he got into a stance. He smirked at Haku. I'm gonna kick your ass all the way to Kumo. Omake. Naruto scratched his chin, wondering why his last phrase in the chapter sounded overused. He also wondered why the overused phrase joke sounded overused. It seemed that there were many mysteries in the world to be discovered. Omake. Gotta catch him. Gotta catch 'em all. Pokemon. Naruto's sweat dropped. Inari had been singing the new Pokemon theme song for a while, and man, it did a number on his ears. Meanwhile, far, far away on the planet Namek, Piccolo traded earth-shattering blows with the ridiculously powerful Frieza. Without warning, his sharp ears detected a horrifying sound. Gotta catch 'em, gotta catch 'em, gotta catch 'em all. Pokemon. AAAAARRRRGH. Piccolo exploded in a huge supernova, destroying anything within the reach of 5 galaxies. Everyone died, and Frieza died too. Yay. Back on Earth, Master Roshi celebrated. Yahoo! Frieza's dead. Now we can just use the Deus Ex Machina, known as the Dragon Balls, to revive everyone and live happily ever after. Naruto settled into a stance as he studied his opponent. Haku was good with Senbon. Better move quickly so he wouldn't hit pressure points. It would be better to be cautious. Rushing in blindly could work in other scenarios, but then it would give the fake Hunter Nin an opening to throw some needles in painful places. Probably his face. Or his neck. Or his unmentionables. Naruto shuddered at the thought. He threw one kunai at Haku's head, then one at his feet, and a kunai at waist level, and a half a second later, left and right of the girly boy's face. Haku went the only way Naruto's kunai allowed him to, up. He jumped in the air, feeling thrilled as the wind blew at his face. He was not at all surprised to see Naruto waiting for him with a knife in hand, in a perfect position to stab him. In the air, Haku could not dodge with anything but his head. He could not match Naruto in hand-to-hand combat, he knew that. Haku aimed 3 Senbon at some of the blonde's painful places. His face, his neck, and his unmentionables. Kidding. He drew the last needle back and aimed it at Naruto's knife arm. Naruto blocked all 3 Senbon quickly with his kunai and brought his arm down at Haku's face. I have an obsession with face wounds. Haku flung his face back as if he had been punched, narrowly escaping his enigmatic opponent. I missed. No, Haku disagreed, and brought his head back to its normal position. Blood matted his hair and dripped down his mask. You hit me. Naruto's facial expression didn't change. I was aiming to cleave your head in half. To me, that was a miss. You're very used to carnage for someone your age, aren't you? You meant to kill me. Haku studied the blonde with a frown on his face. You're no older than me, Haku. The surprised Mist Shinobi raised his eyebrows in alarm. Naruto smirked. That had created the desired effect. He dashed in, aiming to kill his enemy once and for all. Haku cursed, and blocked Naruto's incoming kunai with a Senbon. He was careless and had let him get close. He had no chance like this. He wasn't good with close quarters, and added to that, it was pretty hard to use a needle like a knife. To Haku's surprise, though, Naruto made a mistake. He extended his kunai too far. Haku closed in for the kill. The Uchiha was no threat, so he didn't kill him. But Naruto was. Naruto was a danger to Zabuza's plans. So Haku would kill him. He ran the blonde through with a kunai. He breathed a sigh of relief. It was over now. He would help Zabuza defeat the Jonin and then kill the bridge builder. But something was wrong. There was no blood. Haku's eyes widened in shock. Kaboom! Naruto's Bunshin went out with a huge explosion, creating a smoking crater in the middle of the bridge. The smoke cleared, revealing a torn-up and ragged Haku in the middle of the crater. Bits of his mask fell off one at a time, revealing his face to everyone on the bridge. Next to him was Naruto, holding a kunai to his defeated opponent's neck. Without warning, however, Haku had a Senbon at Naruto's neck. Naruto regarded Haku like a knight might salute a worthy adversary. Well, I guess I shouldn't underestimate a master of the silent kill technique. It seems like we are at a standstill. Naruto spoke with a smirk on his face. It seems to me that we are not, Haku said cryptically. Haku's hand rose into a one-handed seal. Mikio Hyosho. Shit. If I dig my kunai into his neck, he'll dig his Senbon into mine. I can't do anything. 21 ice mirrors solidified in thin air, creating a dome and surrounding Naruto. Well, Shit. Equals O equals. Kakashi couldn't believe his luck. Or lack of it. First, the deity known as Ika Ika had been soaked, so badly that it was barely recognizable. And it was the latest issue, one that he had been dying to finish. Ichigo and Orihime and Rukia and Ishida and Sato, and greatest of all, Rangaku, were going to have an orgy. Of course, that had to be the one issue that he had convinced Jiraiya to sign. And then, right when Zabuza attacked, it had to be Naruto on his rest break. Zing. Oh, and also the fact that an eyebrow-less freak who shouldn't be trusted with a fork had a 5-foot single-edged cleaver that probably weighed more than Kakashi himself and was currently trying to slice him into fish bait. Definitely couldn't forget that. Is that all the legendary copy ninja has? You're pathetic without the Sharingan. Zabuza sneered from within the mist, his voice echoing from all sides. Zabuza's voice may have seemingly come from all sides, but in truth, he was just echoing his voice off objects. Echo vibrations were usually more widespread than the normal voice, so all Kakashi would have to do was find the most focused point of vibrations. Kakashi strained his ears while Zabuza went off on a speech about how weak Kakashi Hatake really was. Slowly, his eyes shifted to the right. And then he threw a kunai to the left. Clunk. The kunai had found its target, it seemed. The copy nin dashed to the left, another knife already in hand. Clunk. Kakashi blocked Zabuza's sword inches from his face, a bead of sweat dripping down his forehead. The two Junin became locked in an intense close-quarters fight, each one struggling to gain the upper hand. Kakashi concentrated and calmed his mind, always a good thing to do in a fight. Sideways swing from the right, uppercut slash from below, stab from behind. Kakashi barely dodged all of these attacks, not because he was straining, but because he timed everything perfectly. The lazy Junin leapt back to gain some space and settled into a stance. You, my friend, are going to see the true power of the copy ninja, Kakashi vowed, his eyes narrowing with menace. Naruto had an annoying problem. Make that 21 annoying problems glaring at his from all sides. He had tried everything. Even Karyu Enden only burned down half a sheet of ice, which Haku just regenerated with ease. Naruto racked his brain for something, anything that could get him out of this troublesome situation. Suddenly, he realized. He was stupid. So was everyone else who Haku had killed with this jutsu. He could burrow in the bridge. Naruto almost bashed his head on an ice mirror. It was so simple he wondered why no one else had ever thought of it before. Bye-bye Haku, Naruto said, smirking. The blonde threw a smoke bomb onto the ground. As purple smoke restricted Haku's vision, he prepared his technique. Doden. Mogaragakure no Jutsu, Naruto whispered. When the smoke cleared, Naruto was nowhere to be found. There was no evidence suggesting that he had gone underground. Naruto resurfaced outside the ice dome. A grim smile graced Naruto's features. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, the blonde said. 100 clones appeared by his side. They all took a kunai from their weapons pouch simultaneously, and surrounded it with wind chakra. Before, Naruto had no chance of getting close enough to the mirrors with becoming a pin cushion. Now, however, Haku couldn't possibly kill all the clones. He only needed 21 clones. The rest were expendable. Haku's eyes widened. He knew throwing Senbon was useless. He could never destroy enough clones. It would be a waste of needles. Haku fled inside the dome to escape being stabbed by a chakra-infused kunai. As the knives hit their mark, all the mirrors shattered in a beautiful spectacle, at least, beautiful unless one was standing in the middle of it. The ice settled down, revealing Haku, bloodied and covered in minuscule blades of ice. Kill me. I am no longer any use to Zabuza-sama. You defeated me. Now kill me, Haku spoke almost regretfully. Naruto pulled out a kunai and heaved a sigh. All right Haku. I will kill you. Zabuza was held down by numerous ninkin, completely immobilized. Kakashi charged in with his Chidori in hand. Haku stared at the scene in surprise. I have changed my mind. Do not kill me. I can still do Zabuza one more favor. Haku shunshined in front of an enraged and paralyzed Zabuza. Naruto shifted through his thoughts. So even though you don't have precious people, you should do the right thing, and that should make you happy. Do what you think is right. What do I think is right? He shunshined in front of Haku with his back facing him. He would do the right thing. No. My momentum's carrying me too fast. I can't stop. Not again. Rin, and then Naruto. With growing dread, Kakashi plunged the Chidori into his student. Thick, crimson liquid dripped down Naruto's shoulder and onto the ground, forming a circular puddle. Kakashi's eyes widened in surprise. Naruto smirked. There was no way that he was going to become some noble, righteous idiot who died for someone he didn't know. He had taken the Chidori to the shoulder, where there were no important organs. And with the Kyuubi to heal him, there wasn't a chance that he would be crippled permanently either. He was just enduring some pain so that a good person wouldn't die. Okay, a lot of pain. Ha, scared, yeah, I bet. You thought you killed me. As Zabuza and Haku stood in shock, Naruto took out a kunai, and with one swing, slammed the butt of it into the side of Zabuza's head. The mist nin collapsed to the ground, and didn't get up. Naruto collapsed to his knees, holding himself up with his hands. His sight blurred as he fought to stay awake, but his efforts were in vain. Everything went black. Equals. Silence. Nothing but silence for at least a whole minute. Everyone stared in shock. Impossible. Kakashi stared at Naruto's limp form with wide eyes. Naruto, the stone-hearted child, had just risked his life for someone. An enemy. Well, if everyone is done being sad about that annoying brat getting backstabbed by his teacher, I'm just gonna come along and kill the bridge builder. You know how it is, don't mind me. Everyone, friend and foe, turned to face a short man with round glasses and frizzy hair, dressed in an expensive suit and a cruel smile on his face. Surrounding him were at least 100 men, all heavily armed and snickering along with their employer. Gato. Haku barely even whispered the name, yet everyone present heard it. The business magnate chuckled. Kill the bridge builder, and make it quick. Don't underestimate the pesky ninja. The criminals charged with surprising unity, yelling and mocking their much smaller enemy. The shinobi took out their respective weapons, sweat pouring down their foreheads. If I was even at half strength, these bandits would be desperately swimming to shore right now, but I'm drained, and by the looks of it, Haku is too. Our only hope is Sakura. The moment Kakashi glanced at her, Sakura knew what the situation was. Sasuke, Naruto, and Zabuza, knocked out cold. Kakashi and Haku ready to collapse. She had to fight at least 100 battle-hardened criminals with a lust for blood, and in no way armed lightly. Sakura steeled herself, and went over every possibility and what she would do. The kunoichi was so glad she had went through genjutsu training. Sakura had to remind herself that Kakashi and Haku weren't dead, and that they too would help. The former fangirl looked up at the charging bandits with a new fire in her eyes that she had never possessed before. Mabaroshi no Auto. Suiman. Art of Illusion. Sleep, Sakura yelled, flames burning hot in her gaze. The jutsu was meant as a setup to make the opponent sleepy, or be used as a final finishing move that didn't take much chakra. Sakura purposely put too much chakra into it, making most of the bandits suddenly plop down on the bridge and start snoring. My teddy bear, one of the bandits muttered. Sakura raised an eyebrow in amusement at that, right before she suddenly felt a wave of fatigue. When she had done this jutsu on Kakashi, she wasn't nearly as drained, but with a large group of people, it was actually pretty tiring. Hey, guys, can you help me really quick? I dunno, maybe you could actually kill the bastards while I can keep up my genjutsu. Sakura asked sarcastically. Can do, ma'am, Kakashi saluted mockingly. The two jonin charged into the battlefield with as many weapons as they could cram into the palms of their hand and completely slaughtered the bandits who were still awake in less than a minute. Blood could be seen everywhere, most notably on Kakashi's face, making him look like a bloodthirsty madman, especially with that smile on his face. Then came the twist. Sakura struggled to hold up the genjutsu, beads of sweat rolling down her face. Have to keep going. Everything went black. Sakura landed with a soft thud. Tired and weary, Kakashi and Haku didn't notice that Sakura had released the genjutsu, and didn't pay attention to the particularly smart short bald man who feigned sleep, and quietly threw 2 knives at the 2 Junin. Thankfully, he did not have any professional training, and was not able to strike fatal points. He did cripple Kakashi's leg, and when the second knife hit Haku's back, the combination of the pain and the chakra loss sent him into unconsciousness. Kakashi collapsed onto one knee, holding himself up with one hand, the other clutching his wounded leg. Gato laughed. It was the kind of sick laughter that made people start to hate the person who was laughing. The infuriating sound that was impossible to stop. That sound, ringing in everyone's ears. That, my good men, is how you put arrogant people in their place, the short man said with a smile. His small militia laughed along with him. His smile faded though, as an arrow hit a still laughing bandit. That, my good men, is how you put arrogant people in their place, Inari said. Kakashi gaped at the scene. Behind Inari stood almost every villager from Wave, all armed with axes and pitchforks and torches. They far outnumbered the bandits, and, no proud warrior would say it out loud, but they looked intimidating. Sorry I'm late. That kid is copying me. For Wave, Inari yelled. The villagers charged, weapons held high. The bandits fled, realizing that it was a lost cause, leaving Gato at the mercy of the villagers. By the time they were done, Gato was unrecognizable. Purple spots decorated his face, and his suit was ripped so badly that it was about to fall off. His glasses were nowhere to be seen, probably thrown into the water. Tazuna had tears of joy streaming down his face as he ran towards Inari. They hugged. Okay Inari, I need your help completing the bridge, Tazuna said, smiling. Inari looked up at his grandfather, confused. Ganpa, the bridge is already completed. Not yet. Every bridge needs a name. How about the Great Naruto Bridge? Inari said joyfully. What? I had it completely set up and everything. It was supposed to be the Great Tazuna Bridge. Tazuna smiled. Kakashi smiled. Hey, maybe you could help us back. Sure, no problem. Inari chirped. What? I was gonna have a big fest and everything, whatever. Kakashi smiled and promptly fell into unconsciousness. 7 people agreed to help carry them back to Konoha. The villagers walked in the Fire Country's direction, the sun rising behind them. 4:30 a.m. A lone, shadowy figure stood atop Konoha's walls. A straw hat sounds like Luffy Lol, but the straw hat is the one like Akatsuki, on her head. A cloak billowed behind her as she stared at the quiet village below her. The woman lifted her straw hat, revealing shining black eyes that pierced the dark morning like a blade of black light. A smirk graced her face as she leapt down the wall and silently landed on a rooftop. Naruto, you better be ready, because I'm coming for you. 7:30 a.m. Naruto woke up in a room he didn't recognize. White walls, all around, light shining from outside an open window. Oh god no, it can't be this place. Why in the world does it have to be this place? It can't be. The hospital. Naruto bolted up in a sitting position, causing the nurse diagnosing him to fall back in her chair in shock. Desperate to get out, he threw off the covers, ripping off his bandages in process. Jumping out of bed, he found a clean set of clothes sitting on a comfy chair right next to him, complete with a t-shirt, shorts, and his weapons. Faster than the eye could see, he changed and leapt onto the window sill. Leaving so early, Naruto turned around to see Kakashi leaning on the doorway, his right hand holding a copy of Ika Ika. I can't stand hospitals, Naruto replied, and jumped out the window. 2:30 p.m. Team 7 was training together for the first time. To give them more teamwork, Kakashi set up an obstacle course impossible to complete with one person. Of course, that completely failed. With 2 arrogant kids and 1 arrogant kid, teamwork was impossible. The obstacle course that Kakashi had taken 4 hours to set up was blown to smithereens by a combined force of Sasuke's Gokyaku, Naruto's Daitapa, and Sakura's supersonic screeching scream. Kakashi groaned. Well, at least they used teamwork to do it. Naruto and Sasuke high-fived. A rustling sound came from the bushes. Naruto tensed. His hand crept closer to his weapons, strapped to his right leg. He glanced at Kakashi for confirmation, and the Junin gave him a look saying, "Okay, but be careful." Naruto's face and body relaxed, although he remained prepared to pull out his weapon. "Hey guys, I'm gonna skip out early. Gotta get some ramen in my belly," he made an excuse. "Naruto, you just ate 5 bowls of ramen 30 minutes ago," Sasuke said exasperatedly. 30 minutes. I didn't know it was that long. I'm outta here. Naruto shunshined away. He didn't go to the ramen stand though. No use endangering the old man, and he couldn't fight with a full stomach anyway. He stood atop a business building overlooking an abandoned alley. He watched as a stranger garbed in a cloak and straw hat shunshined into the narrow passage. Naruto smirked. With a twang, the sound of a tripwire being pulled echoed through the alleyway. A hailstorm of kunai and shurikens rained down on the unknown figure. Confused, he watched as the stranger stood motionless, as if waiting to die. He almost realized what was really happening too late. Quickly, he turned around just in time to block an attack from a mean set of claws. The exchange continued for a moment, then both of them jumped back, in a fighting position. You're pretty good. You strung 50 your kunai onto a string and connected it to a wire in half a second, she said. A smile could be seen underneath her hood. Soon, you're not going to be smiling anymore, Naruto vowed. The blonde's clone appeared behind the stranger. Futon. Daitapa. The clone yelled. The shadowy figure turned back too late. Her straw hat was blown off, to reveal a battle-hardened, blonde woman with dark eyes and a Kumo headband. That was all the proof Naruto needed. He could blow her up without regret. In the next instant, 2 more clones shunshined behind her, working together to restrain her arms. Kaden. Karyu Enden. Yugito's eyes widened. A giant, fiery, haha, dragon rose out of nowhere and roared before headed straight for her, closing in for the kill. Yugito unsheathed her claws, popping the 2 clones in the process. She back-flipped away from the dragon and kicked the roof of the building, allowing her to drop down into safety. Fear and mayhem ensued in the mall they stood atop, indicated by the screams and crashing everyone within a mile radius could hear. Naruto gritted his teeth. The dragon couldn't follow her there, where innocent civilians might be caught in the crossfire. Naruto cursed and called off the jutsu. His eyes widened when he heard a rumbling sound from below. He jumped just in time to avoid a huge explosion that definitely could have knocked any man unconscious and given them serious burns. Naruto took out a kunai. Yugito jumped out from through the smoke, claws unsheathed, and engaged with close combat with Naruto. To the regular human eye, only a furious flurry of slashes could be seen. Jumping away, both landed on opposite sides of the hole the explosive tag had made, slightly worse for wear than when the fight had started. Yugito slowly lifting her head to face her opponent. Yugito smiled. "You," she started. Naruto gave her a confused look. "Pass." Naruto looked bewildered. "I what now?" Yugito laughed. "You pass. You pass the test." And with flying colors, so it would seem, Yugito gazed at Naruto with an infuriatingly superior face. "If you're trying something, there are 10 Anbu monitoring this, waiting to jump in if you gain the upper hand," Naruto growled. She laughed again. "You might want to take them to the hospital and give them an antidote for sleeping gas. That's all I can tell you. If you're interested, here." She threw Naruto a kunai wrapped in a slip of paper. He easily caught it in one hand. "Well, bye. Come by if you're interested. I'm certainly interested in you. Polished and cut, you could become the most beautiful gem ever seen." Smirking, Yugito disappeared in a poof of smoke. An ocean of thoughts swirling through his mind, Naruto jumped down to find 10 Anbu snoring, sleeping on the ground in various positions. One of them in a tiger mask was sucking their thumb and muttering, "You're my teddy bear, aaaallll mine." 3 p.m. Naruto sat on his small and old bed, looking through bingo books and various village records. All he could find was blonde hair, dark eyes, nails as sharp as swords. One of Kumo's perfect Jinchuriki, Yugito ni perfect control over her Biju, which Naruto found to be incredible. An amazing feat, accomplished by years of torturous training. Oh wait, couldn't forget that she was the freaking Jinchuriki of the two tails. How come he could find more information on some stupid rapper called Killer Bee? Ridiculous. Naruto unfolded the sheet of paper that Yugito had given him. Team 7 Training Ground, 11 p.m. He folded the paper and exited his apartment.